Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day in the market. And I mean, it was, you talking about volatile? Oh my goodness. And I know, CPI came out today. We'll get in that in just a second. But obviously, I think it was leaked early anyway, or somebody knew something because the futures were way up before it even hit. And then, of course, as soon as it finally officially hit, by the way, remember they had raised, as I told the members in our morning news brief, they raised it up from 3 to 3.3 was the expectation. So, of course, you better beat it. Come in at 3.2. Wink, wink. Look at that. And then, of course, core came in at 4.7 versus 4.8. So, everything's in line, hunky-dory. Initial jobs claims finally came in higher than they expected. So, of course, the market took off, and you're thinking, oh, here we go. And I talked about yesterday about a bounce. Right? All these stocks sitting on these moving averages and trend lines and everything else. So, you got a huge bounce up. And then a complete rug pull. Complete rug pull. I'll show you the chart. And again, you got to appreciate it. To be honest with you, I mean, the amount of energy it has to take to manipulate a market like that, such a big market, is amazing to see. So I guess I respect the fact that they're able to do it on a daily basis and stuff. But I'm going to get into where inflation is, some stuff that came about small business, which is key right here. We'll go on some big charts like Tesla and some others had some big earnings come out, and I'll show you that as well. And I'll ask you a question at the end because it sparked a conversation we had in our Discord and stuff. We got people from all over the world in there, and you get to learn stuff about their countries and the systems they're talking about. So I'll ask you a question there and get your opinion and give you mine as well. But talking about where inflation is. And this is what I'm talking about, why I say, man, this is why you have to kill inflation. You have to get it down to 2% because where inflation still is what is absolutely affecting. If you make from $0 to probably, 200 grand, like you feel this, right? You feel this. And this is what I'm talking about. So where is inflation? Pets and pet products, rent, restaurant meals, housing, personal care, hotel rooms, recreation, alcohol, groceries, new vehicles, education, clothing, right? So you kind of go, okay, I got you. That affects quite a few people. And then where is it not? Medical care, appliances, electronics, household energy, I totally disagree with. In Florida, my power bill's through the roof. Furniture, toys, transportation, school buses, used vehicles, rental cars, airfare. Gasoline's still really high. I think most people agree on that, but it has come down even though it's ticking back up. And so you just look at that, and that's what I'm saying when you got everyday Americans. Look at the top list, like where it's at, right? And you're like, man, that stuff, I know this is year over year or whatever, but that stuff is still high. And that's what really affects everyday Americans, right? And then you got this one right here. Again, I showed this a while back, and I keep updating you on it. But you just look at what it costs to buy a house versus rent right now. And I mean, we've never had this big of a disparity on this right here. You can see down there during the 70s and 80s, it was up high, the '08 time period, but this is plain out ridiculous. And this is what I was saying. It is actually cheaper in a lot of areas now to rent than to try to go out and buy a house. Before, mortgages were lower than rents and stuff. But man, I mean, I just saw a house across from my brother's. That thing's going for $685,000, has no pool, just a 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom house, normal square footage in a normal neighborhood. And I mean, I was just stunned how much they're wanting for that house. And there's a reason why it's been sitting on the market for quite a while. I mean, because that mortgage, it just break your back. Now, something else, to keep an eye on here is small businesses, right? These are the lifeblood of the country. And understand this chart here on the blue line, what you got is 42% of businesses are reporting to the NFIB that they're still unable to fill positions, right? Probably due to qualifications, everything else. Maybe the person wants too much money or whatever. But also that 17% of them, which is down from the peak, are planning on, as you can see, still hiring people, right? So they still need people and stuff. So still going to be a tight job market for now. And we'll have to see where it goes and stuff. And I mean, it is coming down, to say the least. So at least they're able to fill some of those jobs. But it is stunning that 43% still say they can't find people to fill the jobs they actually want to fill. And guys, before we continue, if you get anything out of this, please hit that thumbs up down there. I really appreciate it. And if you like the material here and the videos, think about subscribing. And so now that leads us into the market. And again, this first chart is just amazing to see. Okay, you have to respect this. And I mean, just look at this run up right here. Boom, huge skyrocket, 1.8%. We're going to the moon. 10 o'clock hits and they go, I don't think so. Bam. They drive this thing down almost 2%. That is just crazy, right? I mean, people are like, oh, yes, here we go. Nope. Don't think so, buddy. Don't think so. CPI came in, it's coming down, all this. No. You know, when you look at it, I mean, literally headline CPI actually increased. Okay, so that's what the funny thing was. And core is still just stuck. It came down, you know, 0.1%, but it's still stuck right there. Okay. And so again, the amount of manipulation that takes place in this is insane. And if you look at that trend line, I've been talking about this with the members. I mean, so far we ain't broke it, 368. They don't want to break. You know, we keep slightly breaking it for a few minutes, but it just keeps hanging on by a thread on that thing. And you'll see a bigger chart on this, what I'm talking about and stuff. But that 368 and that trend line area are key. And when pull here, you see what I'm talking about. I mean, this has been going on since 2023. We broke down below it a couple times slightly, but for the most part, you know, still holding it. There it is right there. I mean, if you break that trend line and also that level right there, yeah, I mean, we're heading down. Right now, we're about 5.5% down. That would put us around 10% down, which is what a lot of people are calling for in the first place. You know, so keep that in mind. But again, this ain't going to be a straight down thing. This is a perfect area to get what? To get a bounce. Right? I mean, it's hanging on for a reason. Things just don't go straight down and stuff unless there's some kind of, you know, crazy news that comes out of nowhere for it and everything. And you can see what else lines up with this trend line in that area, right? The 50 moving average. So it's just sitting there just hanging on for dear life on the 50, the trend line, and the 368 level. And so I said, I mean, everything is just setting up for this pop back up here. So just keep that in mind. Again, tomorrow is Friday, so we'll have to see. Now, Tesla actually did have a green day today as I bring in this volume profile right here. And you can just see, I mean, it was 1% up. It hadn't really done much of anything, just sitting in that area. You can see it sitting in that gap right there. So if it loses right there and starts heading down, we're going to be filling a bunch of gaps, right? We know that for sure. There's no doubt. But when you look at this in a different way, you also see a chance for a pop up because you're in this falling wedge right here. They got rejected on top of that wedge today. But when we go down, you know, and you look here, what's the RSI on hourly telling us? It's like, okay, all of a sudden you're getting, you know, higher lows going on in the RSI down there while the stock is actually setting lower lows. And so, you know, maybe it's going to tell us something, maybe not. Maybe this is a move back up. Again, it's got to break out of that wedge to do so. And like I told you, a lot of people I know, they're calling, you know, 260 for it to move up. That don't mean it's going past that. But again, going straight down, usually markets just don't do that unless we're in a bear market actually, or there's some kind of crazy news and stuff. So eventually you do get your pops and everything, especially with Tesla. We know exactly how it moves, so just keep that in mind. And I found this data right here, which I found interesting. This is deliveries for Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid. Now, I know you're probably looking at this going, wait a minute, I don't see Lucid on here. So, you know, you can see Tesla increasing. Rivian, believe it or not, is also increasing. And there's Lucid, and I don't mean to laugh, but, you know, I'll zoom in here for you so you can see Lucid here. Zoom in, you zoom and come down. Can you see it yet? It's there, but believe it or not, it looks like they're actually decreasing since Q4 2022, but they're on this list. They are making deliveries. Let me tell you, as that stock popped the other day, and I was like, what the heck? So anyway, I just want to put that on there. But again, you see Tesla deliveries, and Rivian actually is ramping up their deliveries and production. So keep that in mind. And I'm seeing a lot more of those in the streets. Now, Alibaba reported earnings, and it reported really good earnings. I mean, the bar was so low, I was shocked at what I saw, what the market was actually expecting last night. So they should have beat it, and they did handily beat it. And again, I told you, it ain't got nothing to do with this stock and per se. The stock on fundamentals as far as earnings and everything else should move up. But again, it's all about China, right? If they can just shut their mouths, stop coming up with restrictions or things like that, then this stock would absolutely move. And so, I mean, when you look at this, you can see why. I mean, again, resistance goes way down for this, okay? So there's, I guess I would say, the wind at their back is that how you put it? When you're talking about something moving up, but you can just see, I mean, because of the way it's moved and stuff in the past, all that resistance is just sitting right there, right? But you can see over to the left, it ran up so fast, there's no resistance. You see it crash so hard in 2022, not a lot of resistance, and that's why you got that big volume gap. So if it can get up to 100, past 100, you're going to 110. You get past 110, you're going to 120. If they somehow managed, if China stays out their way, to get past 120, you can just see, you know, it's like a Palantir. It's like so many of these stocks that just ran up so fast and got crushed so fast. There's not a lot of resistance there. So if the market gets behind it, it can move. Again, all depends on China. And you can see, actually, a lot of people are talking about this, but believe it or not, this is not bullish or bearish. It's nothing. It's called the golden cross, right? The 50 and the 100. The reason why this doesn't matter for this stock is past behavior. Look at this right here. Oh, golden cross, we're going to the moon. Nope, that was the top. huge crash down, right? You go back and they had many golden crosses. Okay, so past behavior predicts future behavior. And when you go back, you go, well, there's a golden cross. And you go, well, it did go up a little bit more. It did go up a little bit more. It didn't call the top exactly. It did go up like, what was that, 8% or something? And like a month and a half or something. But then you go back to the other one, it's like, oh, here's another golden cross right here. And basically it called the top. So they just traded sideways and went down. Another golden cross to the left over there. And it called the top too. It crashed after that. So that's what I'm saying. People are telling you that golden cross is bullish. It is for most stocks. That's absolutely true. But for some reason, for Baba, you can see 3 out of the last 4 haven't been so hot. So I'm not even going to bank anything on that part of it. Just banking on the fact that maybe China stays out of its way. Now, Disney had earnings. They popped almost 5% today. I just got this trend line I drew across there. Just don't pay attention to it, but that's where it rejected today. Huge gap above. This one has been getting zero love. And let me tell you, I don't sugarcoat nothing on here. As you know, the earnings were horrible. And, all they did is I told the members, they pulled a Netflix game plan and it paid off. They sat there and said, hey, you know what, we ain't been getting no love. We're going to start raising prices and all this crazy stuff. And because you can see right here, I mean, this is paid subscribers like the Disney Plus and stuff. And I'm no genius, but to me, that right there looks like declining members, okay? And I have Disney Plus with my child, but, that's not good. That's why they're going to keep raising prices. So again, for right now, you got a stock that's just been beat down. It is a name type of stock. A lot of political stuff about this. I live in Florida. Trust me, our government has been going after them right and left and stuff. They're bleeding money like crazy. And so, we'll see how it pays off or whatever. But this is just, to me, more of a technical bounce. And they said, cool, you're going to raise prices. And they put back in the dividend. I forgot about that. And so market said, hey, what the heck? Let's give it a shot. Now, where's money going, right? Because in August, we've been selling off. Where's money going? You think you're going defensive, this is what you got to pay attention to. And this is what I've been putting out videos to the members about really is, trying to follow this money. And it's not going defensive because it's not going to utilities, at least it didn't today. Go to utilities, didn't go to staples, stuff like that. So when you look over here in August, where is money going? Because obviously it's leaving tech. And it's not like it's leaving tech. I told you guys coming in August, what was going to happen? They're going to start taking profits because of seasonality and these bigger ones and rotating it somewhere else, okay? Because they can't just sit in cash. But you see utilities hadn't got a bid in August. You can see consumer staples really hadn't got a bid in August. And so in healthcare, a little bit, right? A lot of biotech's been somewhat coming up. So not too bad. But, if we look up here, and I bet you, let's add in XLE, because that's what everybody keeps talking about. That is positive. So you could see money is rolling over into oil stocks and things like that. Maybe some natural gas here and there. Maybe even some solar, So they're definitely putting it there. If you go into, real estate, it's like, nope. Don't see anything going in there at all. So, the money's going somewhere. So some of it's definitely going to XLE. Put in the comments where you think the money's actually going. And then if we come in, there's no earnings to really worry about tomorrow. But we do have core PPI month over month, core PPI year over year. And this is what the Fed really likes to look at, okay? Keep that in mind. And then you got Michigan consumer sentiment on all this stuff, and I'll bet money is down because why? The market's down. And that's usually how that works. So I won't be paying any attention to consumer sentiment most likely. I'll present it to you and give it to you, but usually the market's going down, sentiment's going down, it's going up, it goes up, okay? So just keep that in mind. And tomorrow's Friday, so you got weekly options expiration. Fridays are like the OK Corral. We'll have to see. Again, are stocks setting up for a bounce? Yeah, absolutely. They're sitting on these moving averages and trend lines and support levels and all that stuff. And you usually get a bounce, right? So just keep that in mind. Or you could get the same thing you got today where they go bouncy, bouncy, and then crashy, crashy, right? So that's how they love to do it. So, but it makes for fun times. That's what I always say. And I was going to ask you guys a question. This is something we were kind of talking about in the Discord, but also I was talking with somebody else about this and stuff. And it was like, like name a system or something that you think is just like, you think is either broken or just so corrupted or something like that, or a system that just doesn't make any sense anymore. And I thought to myself, like my number one, like for me, is going to be the IRS. Like I don't even understand it. Like first of all, you can't get by on the phone. Second of all, the system itself, the way it is designed makes no sense to me. Like it's confused to me how a very small percentage of people living in this country can pay the vast majority of all taxes, right? Which pays for all the roads and the schools, police, military, you name it, everything, right? But then everybody can enjoy it, whether you pay zero tax or whether you pay all the taxes. Everybody gets to enjoy it, right? That's kind of weird, but that's not what bothers me the most. What bothers me the most is two things like this. One is, obviously, I feel about it's definitely designed or, against the middle class, right? I always say we're the hamburger in the bun, okay? Because you got the bottom, they don't pay basically any federal income tax when it's all said and done. And then the top is Warren Buffett. It's not a joke. He really means this when he says it. Like, he pays less percentage than his secretary, right? And that's insane, right? But then what's really crazy about the system is, and you probably had this happen to you or somebody or or heard people complain about this, but you have a system where you want to get promoted, and let's say I'm gonna make these figures up. I read this paper like 5 years ago about this, but if you make I read a paper and it said if you had a couple has 2 kids living on Elm Street, and the couple brings in 85,000, and then another couple lives right beside them, 2 kids, everything's identical. But let's say one of them gets promoted and now they're making 100,000. Who's it better to be in America, right? When it comes to the IRS tax system. And when it was all said and done, again, he's just making 85 and 100K, but somewhere in that realm. And when it all came down to it, it didn't matter who you were, because when they went to go do their taxes, like the ones that was making 85, the 100K, found out they were paying a much higher percentage in taxes because the credits or the deductions they were always getting all those years started phasing out, and they phased out rapidly, right? And so they're like, wait a minute. And so they still come out a little better, but nowhere close to what they thought it was going to be. And I'm like, what kind of system is that? But here's the kicker. If that person that couple making 85K would have jumped to be making, 2 million, 5 million, 50 million, they'd be paying way less percentage in taxes, because the way the system is designed and the laws are passed by the multimillionaires and the billionaires who run Congress now, the government, right? That all these different plethora of deductions or ways to, route your money and do all this other stuff brings down your percentage. That's why, like Mitt Romney, he ran for president, he got killed by the public because he's a wealthy guy. He's married to an heiress, I think, or something, that's going to inherit billions. And so they're really rich, but they pay 9% in federal taxes, right? 9%. I'm pretty sure, didn't President Trump's taxes just get released for 2020? You saw the federal income tax he paid, and he's a billionaire. And I'm not saying they're breaking the law. I'm saying the law sucks, right? That should happen. That you should be bringing in that much money, right? And you got people who are hoodwinked and think, yeah, but they pay the majority, because you have the majority of the wealth, all right? Yes, if you're sitting on a yacht, you need to be paying more dollars, but you need to be paying the same percentage as a person who's making 100 to 150K or 200K or 300K or 400K, whatever it is, right? Because you got to think about this. If you're making $5 million and you're paying 15% in taxes, and you got a person let's say making 150,000, paying 15% in taxes, who's feeling it a whole lot more, right? Because you can only buy so many yachts and so many houses and so many pairs of shoes. Okay, who is the lifeblood of this country? It is the middle class. We buy the most stuff by far, right? They need us. But when it comes to the tax system, we're like little bitty dogs running around a dinner table begging for scraps, right? Do you remember that? I'll tell you, this is a true story. When that bill in 2018, I forgot what it's called. It's supposed to be called the Middle Class Tax Cut Bill, and this applies to all tax cut bills. I don't care who was passing it, all of them in history. But this one I remember, because they actually named it the Middle Class Tax Cut and something else. And then they had to go back and change the name because they realized at the very last second, because of some of the stuff they put in, the majority of tax benefits were going to go to the top again, right? And how do I know that's true? I read the bill. I know it did. But how do I really know it's true in real life? My best friend is a cop, and his wife's a teacher. All American family, by the way. 2 kids, all that good stuff, right? Good people. Well, his father-in-law is a multi-millionaire, and good for him. Great guy, by the way. That's why I tell you to go in the military and get a trade if you can't afford to go to college. This dude went in the Navy, served his country. They taught him to be an electrician. He got out, started his own company. All right, became a multi-millionaire. Good for him. He worked really hard. Great guy. We sit down at the dinner table the week this bill gets passed. And he tells us, man, I got great news. I get to retire early. And his son-in-law was like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, my accountant called me as soon as that bill got signed. And no lie, this is a true story. And he says, hey, you can retire now. And he said, what are you talking about? We got a plan. I got 5 years left, right? And he goes, no, that tax bill passed. Now you're going to get to save X amount of dollars. All this stuff happens. Boom. And he literally retired that week. It was like, and good for him. He earned it, all that good stuff. But I remember looking at my friend's face, right? He's a police officer, right? And he's working graveyard shift in some horrible neighborhood. high crime neighborhood, and his wife's a teacher, and obviously we know teachers are never paid enough. And so, I look at him and I say, "Hey, man, hey," and he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Did you get that call too from your accountant? Because I missed it, right?" And he's like, "No, I definitely didn't." And you're thinking to yourself, like, not that this guy don't deserve to retire early, but the promises were for the middle class. Like, what are you talking? Like, what? Are you kidding me? And so we got scraps in that bill, right? Like, we get scraps in every tax bill that every single party passes. But it's like, come on, man. Like, we deserve more than this. Like, we are the engine of the country. All right. Without us, it don't go. Right. And people are like, well, but you can't have the, yes, you can. You can get rid of all the bill. You can have them move. That's why I say they'll move to another country. Move to another country. Go ahead. Move to another country. What are you going to do? Your company's still going to be here. And for those who don't know, most of these companies, who were their number one buyer of their products, who all their headquarters and owners live here, they say, oh, no, our headquarters ain't here no more. They move them offshore anyway to avoid paying taxes. So, yeah, let them go. They ain't out there in Walmart buying stuff. They ain't out there buying all these cars, right? So, trust me, we would miss them way less than we would us, okay? I mean, I get so tired of hearing that, man. Well, you raise their taxes, they're going to move. Go ahead. Do your thing, But we're sitting in a Discord, and you got people from, Germany and Canada also talking about the tax systems and what they get for it and the health care and the education and all this other stuff. And I'm just looking at our IRS going, man, this system has to change. Like something and just my humble opinion, has to change. So let me know what system you're thinking of or anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Or, what you think about the IRS tax system. Let me know, because I'm obviously missing something if people don't agree with that. But anyway, hope you guys got some out of it. Tomorrow, buckle up. Probably going to be another wild day in the market. All right. So, but again, what I tell you, in the end, presents buying opportunities. Just keep that in mind. Have your list ready. Have your price targets ready. The companies you really want to own. Okay. That's my final message. So I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one.